Hello, it's Kristen here, and I want to take this opportunity today to talk to you about nervous system health in a really simple way. There's a lot of clever stuff out there about the nervous system, which is brilliant. And sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming. And so I want to show you something that makes it really simple to understand and really helps us orient ourselves in terms of where we are in our nervous system right now. And it also helps us understand some symptoms that we might have. So I want to show you a graphic in a moment called the window of tolerance, which is a graphic that I show to a lot of my clients as well to help them orient. Before I just do that, I just want to clarify what I mean by symptoms. So I meet a lot of people who are struggling with chronic issues like chronic anxiety, chronic exhaustion, fatigue, pain, chronic pain, digestive problems, sleeping problems, those kind of symptoms that are hard to grasp, that are, difficult to understand, to manage, and that sometimes sort of can come upon us and we don't really know why this is happening to us. So the window of tolerance can really help us understand these symptoms as responses from our nervous system, which is struggling or dysregulated, let's say. So I'm going to share my screen with you and show you my window of tolerance. And there it is. So the window of tolerance is here. We've got this sort of channel. And this is our sort of normal range of nervous system activation. So when we're really healthy and everything's going all right, we will move up and down in our nervous system throughout the day and throughout our lives. So sometimes we will be sort of more active and things are a little stressful or even a little exciting, and we're more sort of alert, more activated, more alive as well. So this doesn't have to be just stress. It's a state where we are a little bit more alert and more active. And then we will also, of course, have times where we're resting more, where we're relaxing, chilling out, sleeping well. And this is sort of a time where we are also learning well and where we are healing well, where our body can really take care of all the sort of processes to keep us functioning over time. Whereas when we're up here, it's all a little bit more about the moment, about using energy, and all the focus is on the moment. And it can relate to moments of sort of fight and flight situations, both positive and negative. Or it can also just be using more energy, being more active, where it's about having all that energy in the moment. And we want to really have a bit of a balance between these. So we could have, it doesn't have to be perfect. We can be more on the resting phase in some parts of our lives or our day. Like at the weekend, we might be chilling out a lot more on the sofa. Or, we could have an exciting adventure holiday and be more here for a while. As long as we're within our window of tolerance, it's all pretty good. The problem is when either a traumatic event happens, a big thing happens to us that is too much to handle in that moment, and we can't properly deal with it, but time continues fast. Or it might be we're up here for a while and just another thing happens, and that thing itself wasn't really that extreme. It wasn't traumatic as such, or what we think of as traumatic. But we already have been spending so much time at the top edge of our window of tolerance that it just took a little thing to push us out of our window of tolerance. So this relates to maybe times where you've had a really difficult job, you were in a tricky relationship, and then one more thing happened, like you fell over, right? Falling over is not thought of as a traumatic experience, but because we were already worn out, we were already running on empty, it didn't take much to take us out of this window of tolerance. And then we're up here. And that's normally the direction it goes. So then we are out of our window of tolerance, in high activation in our sympathetic nervous system, but out of the levels that we can be healthy with and that we can digest. And, we'll be up here for a bit and we might come down a bit, but it's difficult to get back in again unless we've got we're looking really after ourselves, and we get some help perhaps, and we have lots of support. We might make it back into our window of tolerance. But very often, once we're up here and things don't change that much, we will be continuing to jump up and down, up out of our window of tolerance. And so when we're spending a lot of time up here, we may develop some of these symptoms. So we might have anxiety attacks a lot, panic, tension and pain come into our body, chronic tension, we just can't relax. We're hyperactive, so we can't rest. And, people say, oh, do a nice relaxing something, but actually we find ourselves just being sort of hyperactive and not able to rest, not able to sleep either. We might be hypervigilant, so we're very jumpy, and anything new that happens, we're wary about, we don't like change. We are nervous about changes. We expect bad things to happen. We have a restlessness about ourselves. Digestive problems are setting in, and we get irritable. We are not so chilled out anymore. We can easily get triggered to get irritable with other people, and we're simply feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on, even the small things. So that's where we're at in our highly sympathetic nervous system state, out of our window of tolerance. And this can go on and on and on, except at some point exhaustion will set in, because this state at this high intensity cannot be maintained. At some point, with all these symptoms or some of these symptoms going on, the body will say enough, enough, and it will push you down right through your window of tolerance into the basement, into a deeply parasympathetic state, well below rest and relaxation. There's numbness here, there's depression here, there is chronic fatigue. Your body basically saying, stay down, you cannot deal with one more bit of the stress. Stay down, go numb, disassociate. It gives you exhaustion to, again, stop you from doing too much. It's essentially a place of preservation. It's not a great place, but your body is doing the right thing in that moment, helping you to survive on some level. There's still poor digestion here. We might develop complex syndromes, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, other kind of syndromes can happen here. So often when we have a right cocktail of things and we're exhausted, this is where we're at. And so the interesting thing here is that when we're down here, again, we could stay down here. There isn't really, stress is still there that comes from the top, keeping us down here. We're here just preserving ourselves as best as we can. And it's not a great way to live, is it? It's not brilliant. And ever so often when we might get a holiday, or we might have a spell where things are good, and it might help us come back into our window of tolerance, if we're lucky. Now, the problem is, let's say we decide we want to get therapy to help us of some sort. We might do mindfulness classes or something like that. When we're here and we are starting a process of healing, of deeply meaningful healing, of connecting to our body, of tapping into these things, it very often pushes us right again through the window of tolerance back to where we were before. Yeah, so our nervous system is pushing down on everything to preserve us. And the moment we get the slightest sense of safety and healing, the lid comes off and we're back where we were, more alive, but everything's going on here, anxiety, heart racing. It can be really disturbing. And this is a bit of a dilemma that I'm observing sometimes, that when we've been down here for long enough and we're seeking help, and it's not easy. It's not a quick fix, because it may not be so easy for us to tolerate safety, tolerate connection to the body because this is what we're meeting up here. And so we want to be obviously as careful and slow with this as possible, but we can expect to meet a bit of this when we're emerging from the basement. And then hopefully we can gradually, with some help perhaps, find ourselves back into our window of tolerance. But this is, I believe, very helpful in just sort of understanding where we are when we have these symptoms or the ones down here. Of course, sometimes there's a mixture here too, because we're moving between these states. But I wonder if looking at this and listening to this, you find that you can sort of place yourself quite well. Like you go, oh, right now I'm actually here, or right now I'm here, or oh, I live up here right now during this coronavirus crisis, or I have arrived down here. So it can be really helpful if we're not sure about how to help ourselves or what help to get to help us. I find this can be a great start to just help us orient, help us understand what's going on with us. The symptoms make sense, they're there for a reason. It's not that things have gone crazy in you. Well, you could see it that way, but I think what's helpful to take from this is that your body is doing what's best for you, or it's trying to do what's best for you. And it's managing the situation as best as it can. And yeah, there's something in that as a start. So I'm going to stop the screen share and come back to you. And yes, so that's my closing words for you. Remember the window of tolerance. Maybe draw your own, like what's your journey in your window of tolerance or out of your window of tolerance right now? Where are you with this? And based on what I just shared with you, where can you go next? What's happening for you? What do you need? And then before you take it any further or do anything with it, just acknowledge that your nervous system, your body is really trying to help you. It's managing your life as best as it can. And that's something. And from there, we may be able to give it a little bit of support to improve things better, to help it out a little. That's what I'm sharing with you today. And enjoy the rest of your day. Draw your window of tolerance. Let me know how it looks, and feel free to reach out to me. And also maybe you want to subscribe to my channel for more of these videos. So see you around. Bye for now.